All right, it is that time of the NFL season. Preseason is at its full force right before preseason week 2 is when I'm recording this, and it is time to predict the divisions. Today we're going to do the AFC. So let's jump right into it to my division, the AFC East. And we're going to start with the Miami Dolphins. I think we finally win the division this year for the first time since 2008. In large part because I feel like Buffalo is going to have a down year this year, with it being more so a retooling year with how many pieces they've lost on the defense. Obviously, they still have Josh Allen, but the offense did lose some key pieces as well. The receiver room isn't what it normally is. I do expect him to run the ball a bit more, but yeah. Miami's going to win the division. They added a lot of pieces this offseason. It feels like they're getting better entering year 3 under Mike McDaniel. I really like where we're sitting. There's obviously some bias in this. I'm not going to deny that. But I do think this is the year to get a home playoff game for the first time since 2008. Second place is going to be Buffalo. It is still Josh Allen leading the way. It is still going to be a solid defense with Matt Milano and Ed Oliver. Buffalo is still going to be a thorn in our side and be really competitive. But they did lose a lot of key pieces, and I feel like this is going to be a down year. Out of any year for Miami to have a shot, this is the year they need to take advantage, and Buffalo is in that weaker state. So, for the third place team, I have the New York Jets. I've said this countless times, I am not high on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I feel like their receiving room is very, very overhyped because of Garrett Wilson. And don't get me wrong, he is a really good receiver. But the rest of the guys in that room, I'm not a fan of. Breece Hall is a really good running back, but he's dealt with some injuries. And their defense is going to be really good, but that can only get you so far in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I got them. They'll be competitive, but I got them finishing third, which means last place is going to be the New England Patriots. For as much as Drake May has shown during camp, and at this point of recording, we only played one drive, so it's hard to say. But it does seem like Jacoby Brissett is winning the starting job. And he's good, but this is a very, very clearly a see what we have here for New England. New head coach and Gerard Mayo. Drake May is their first round pick. Jalen Polk and Javon Baker are their 2 rookie receivers. They need to figure out that receiver room. They did release Juju Smith-Schuster, so they're getting younger. And again, it's just take a step back here, figure out exactly what we have, and go from there and to build this team. They have a bright future. They just need to actually be able to build around the star young players they have. And this is the year to figure out who those star young players are. We're going to move on to the NFC South. I have Houston repeating as division winners because they were just a really good team, and I feel like they got better, in part because they get Stephon Diggs. I know the whole diva and everything aspect, but he's still a really good receiver in this league, and I really like the Joe Mixon acquisition for the running back room. They're a really good team. D'Amico Ryan's entering his second season. That's kind of the thing with a lot of these. I feel like I'm kind of pointing out with a lot of these, and we're going to probably talk about a little bit more with some of these other teams, but just another year for these young guys in the league is going to make a difference. And because of that is why I have Houston finishing first again. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and they're going to run away with it. But at the end of week 18, they're going to have a home playoff game at NRG Stadium. The Jaguars and the Colts really can go back and forth on for this. I'm not saying that Jacksonville can't finish second, but I do have the Colts finishing second. I do really like Anthony Richardson. Though, again, he needs to stay healthy for a full season. He needs to show development. He is a really, really star-studded young player that has a lot of potential. The Colts need to make the most out of it, and we'll see if they are able to. Their defense is the main reason why I had them above Jacksonville. I trust their defense a little bit more. But yeah, Jacksonville is number 3. I'm also just not that high on Trevor Lawrence. And their receiver room, they added Gabe Davis. But it still feels like Jacksonville is missing a few pieces before they can truly be a great team. Now, of course, they're going to be playing hungry with a chip on their shoulder because of how last season ended with that collapse. But I just feel like they're starting to slowly get behind the other two in the division. But they're not as far behind as Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee has a good defense led by Jeffrey Simmons, and they have a really, really great receiving core, fully looking at it. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tyler Boyd. They lose Derrick Henry, add Tony Pollard, but still, I'm not high on Will Levis. I don't think he's going to develop how they want him to, and it's going to hold them back. Tennessee's a very weird team. They're probably going to be a little bit run first. Actually, probably going to be pass first because Brian Callahan barely ran the ball or had a lot of formations where he ran the ball in Cincy. But I do think Tennessee's scheme isn't quite lining up with their team as of yet. I do think that if Will Levis does take a jump, they could be a sleeper team, but I'm not banking on it. Switching over to the AFC North, every year, someone goes from worst to first. And I know this is the easy one, probably the cop-out, but I have Cincy finishing first. They go from worst to first. Burrow is seeming like he's going to be fully healthy. He played great in the preseason game against Tampa. My thing is will they start off slow? I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do either. But as long as Burrow can stay healthy, they have a team that can win this division. It's going to be a tough division, to say the least. There's a lot of good teams within this division. But Cincy, I don't know, there's something with Cincy that, like, yeah, they lost Joe Mixon, yeah, they lost Tyler Boyd, but they still feel like a team that can make a lot of noise if they just start off the season right. Second place, I have the Baltimore Ravens, in large part because really I don't fully trust Lamar. I know that's weird to say, but besides his 2 MVP seasons, he's had injury issues. And I really want him to stay healthy for a full season because he's electric while playing. They added Derrick Henry. It's just, can Lamar stay healthy? And if he does, what is their receiver room looking like? I mean, yeah, Zay Flowers could take that next leap and be a great receiver, but the rest of the room leaves a lot to be desired. While I do really like Baltimore, their defense is star-studded. Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, there's the defensive end who I'm forgetting his first name, but Madubike. They have the pieces. You can easily make comparisons between the defense they have now and the defense they had in 2012. But it is still just like what is that receiver room looking like? Because in 2012 they had a great receiving room with a quarterback that maybe is nowhere near Lamar Jackson's talent, but he didn't need to be. Because that receiving room for Baltimore was really, really good. Jacoby Jones, may you rest in peace, Torrey Smith, and Anquan Bolden. This receiver room is Zay Flowers and not really anyone else. Third place, I have the Cleveland Browns, or I wouldn't be shocked if Pittsburgh ends up here either. Cleveland's mainly because of their defense. They have one of the better defensive units in the league. They'll get Nick Chubb back for a full season, which is going to be a massive increase to that offense. We'll see how Deshaun Watson plays. I'm not high on him. I think he's past his prime at this point, which is weird to say considering his age. But he's not going to get back to that Houston form, which is what Cleveland has been paying him based off of. And I don't know. It's the case where I don't think they're going to be a massive surprise this year for a lot of people. I more so seeing them go in that 9-8 range, 9-8, 10-7, which I feel like will be enough to finish third, but also really could just be because of tiebreakers with Pittsburgh that they finished third. Speaking of, we got Pittsburgh. It's tough because with Pittsburgh, you're pretty confident in saying they're going to finish at least 8-1 because they just don't have losing seasons. So then it's like, okay, well, how do you feel about the other teams? Pittsburgh is one of those where, yeah, even if they finish 9-8, I feel like some of those losses are going to be more so in division. But they're just, For as much as I feel like Russell Wilson having a fresh scenery is going to help, same with Justin Fields, their receiver room being okay, it's not the greatest, but George Pickens is a dog. And of course, the defense is fantastic, like always. It's just there's something I feel like is missing within Pittsburgh that is going to cause them to slip. As much as I like Mike Tomlin, and trust me, I would have loved to have Mike Tomlin all these years. I just don't think it's enough at this point to really like push them over the edge, even though they made the playoffs last year. I just think this is a kind of a regression year of trying to see what they have. And then Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. In theory, he should be better than Matt Canada, but really, who's to say? Besides, whenever we see them on the field. So finally, we're going to the AFC West. And yeah, obviously, this is the Chiefs' division. Like, this is their division to lose. As long as Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones, and Andy Reid are there, they're going to win this division, it feels. They add Xavier Worthy, an incredibly fast receiver. The key thing with him is making sure he gets free releases, which I feel like Andy Reid's going to see what McDaniel did last year and is probably going to do it this year again. And they're just going to send Xavier Worthy on that cheat motion a lot, or at least on some kind of motions a lot. So I feel like the whole jam him at the line and press him isn't that big of an issue. But also, he can just be a really great return man with this new kickoff for them. He's going to make plays for Kansas City. In second place, I got the Chargers. Herbert, in theory, should be healthier this year, though we'll wait to see what happens with his foot. They add Harbaugh as a new head coach. He's going to just make them more consistent, if anything. The defense is kind of a question for me, but at the same time, I know they can be a really good defensive unit with the guys they have. My only thing is it's the Chargers. They have a long history before Herbert, before Rivers, before Staley, Harbaugh, Anthony Lynch. They have a history of finding ways to mess things up when they have it good on paper. And I feel like the area we can circle for this instance will be that running back room, because they brought J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards from Baltimore. Don't get me wrong, when they're healthy, they're a good, solid running back duo. But that's the issue. They're just not healthy that often. And with how Harbaugh likes to run a team, it's more of an even split between run and pass. So they're going to be asked to carry the ball a bit more compared to when they were in Baltimore. So we'll wait to see how that happens. The receiver room is obviously up in the air as a question, with it being led by Quentin Johnson at this point. And you can ask any Chargers fans that they're not fully happy with that fact. But, again, it's kind of just a case of they have Herbert, they have a good defense. Harbaugh will make it so they don't lose a lot of close games anymore. So we'll see kind of where they end up stacking up. I do have them finishing second. Third place, I have Denver, especially after the preseason game against Indianapolis. Bo Nix played well. It's, again, going off of one preseason game is not a lot, but I do now fully expect him to start week 1, whereas before I thought there was a chance we would see someone else as the main guy for the opening day. I fully expected it to be Bo Nix, and I'm not fully sure how good that is. But at the same time, Denver has a team that is not fully in win now mode, but is in the spot where they could surprise people just because of pure luck. But again, it's more so a year of seeing what they have in Bo Nix. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish 4th in this division. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish 2nd. But I feel like the right range for Denver is that 3rd place spot, just because it's a very up in the air style year where there's not a lot of expectations. Which means finally we have the Vegas Raiders. So Antonio Pierce is expected to announce who the QB1 is going to be within the next week or so. So as of recording this, that is still up in the air. If it's Aiden O'Connell, I feel a lot more confident about having them finish 4th, not because I think he's bad, but just because I think he's too conservative with some of his passes, especially looking at last year, like that Chiefs game last year, where yes, they won, but it was for sure not because of their passing game. Samir White is going to be asked to take up more of a load this year because of Josh Jacobs leaving for Green Bay. But at the same time, I feel like they could be competitive if Gardner Minshew is QB1. If Minshew is QB1, they could finish fourth, they could finish second, they could finish third. And it's really just dependent on who the quarterback is, how well Zamir White develops, and how hungry Davante Adams is still in Vegas. How hungry he is in Vegas. Obviously, there's been some discussions this offseason that if Vegas were to trade him at the deadline, he would want to return to Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, Davante Adams is not the kind of player to purposely play bad. But if we get to around week 5 and 6 and he starts to get unhappy, that could affect the team performance leading up to the deadline. That's why I feel like if Vegas wants to try and be competitive this year and make a push to keep Davante Adams happy, they need to go with Gardner Minshew. And if they do go with Gardner Minshew, I'll probably release a short of some kind to change these predictions, as I might move them up. But as of right now, with the uncertainty at who started and kind of the up-in-the-air nature of the running back room, I had them finishing fourth, despite the fact their defense is going to cause trouble. Because, yes, they added Christian Wilkins to a defensive line with Max Crosby. The defense is going to be great, at least the front seven is. My main question is just with the offense. But with all that being said, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe if you are new and enjoy this. A ton of NFL content coming up with the season rolling around, including live play-by-plays. And leave a like, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.